This is the Evil Never Dies podcast with Brett and Carl. This podcast may contain adult themes, violence, and strong language. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to the Evil Never Dies podcast, episode 289. Midweek will be 280. Wow.
Yeah, it's moving on along.
Yeah. What's up, Carl?
Nah, just blah feeling today.
Blah.
Haven't felt very good all weekend.
Yeah. So,
Did get a haunted object when I look at this thing.
what the fuck is that?
It's haunted.
It's haunted.
Yeah,
Where the hell did you get that at?
it's a secret,
It's a secret.
but he's haunted.
That's crazy looking, man.
He's gonna go in the museum.
Cool.
Yep.
Tracy got me a present. Can you see it on my mic stand here?
Yeah, I see him.
That was my present for going and putting up all her lights yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like a complete loser. I never went in the haunted house this weekend. I just didn't have the desire, and it's very humid and hot outside. I think it would have just been bad.
Yeah. It's supposed to cool down starting Monday. So,
Yeah, that's good.
like we were talking earlier, I'm going to go out there after work a couple nights a week and try to get some piddly shit done and
Yeah.
go from there. That's all we can do, man. So,
Well, I think Miss Scarlett's gonna start wanting to paint next week.
all right.
That
Need a lot
museum
of
room.
painting done.
That museum room's the one that needs the majority of the painting done.
Yep.
The vampire just went off.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering what that look was for.
Yeah, that spooked me because he went off.
Oh, shit.
He's hooked to the Roberts light, so
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna hook him up to the Sammy light. It'd be better in the end.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to moving on this thing.
All right. This week we're doing Blade from 1998.
Yes, we are. And I story to tell. So I could have swore I bought this thing on a 4K disc. I could not find it anywhere. I looked through the movies 50 times. So finally found the 3-pack that had all 3 Blade movies. That vampire went off again. The count's mad back here because I could not find my 4K copy of Blade.
Oh, no.
Well, apparently I must have bought it off of Vudu and not bought the actual disc because it is 4K on my Vudu account in Apple. So I got to watch it in 4K, but I don't have the disc apparently because I don't know where it possibly could be. So I'm gonna assume it was bought on Vudu.
Well, I bought the Blu-ray for it. They had it
Yeah,
on 10
mine's a
bucks or whatever.
3-pack. It's got the movie, all 3 of the movies in it. So,
Oh, okay.
but I watched it on Apple in 4K, and it looked really good. So maybe I need to actually buy the 4K. I don't know. I thought I had. I could have swore I had it in Underworld sitting together under the TV, but Blade was not there.
Hmm.
So maybe the count back here got mad and made Blade disappear. I posted some good stuff of him on the social medias yesterday.
Yeah, I seen that. I need to start when you send that to me, I need to start downloading it and putting it up like on the TikTok and
Yeah, the other accounts.
yeah. So
Yeah, I finally remembered that I'd fixed the flyer like 2 weeks ago and put that on everywhere too.
Yeah, I saved that because
Yeah,
I'm gonna start posting the shit out of it.
I
So,
need to print like 1,000 of them, I guess. We'll
all
be at the
right.
Spooky Spectacular next week, so we'll
Yeah, I
talk
forgot
about
about
that
that. We're gonna be at the Spooky Spectacular.
in great.
Spectacle, spooky spectacle.
That's spectacular, I think.
Nope, it's spectacle.
Oh, well, it should be called Spectacular, so I'm renaming it.
But yeah, we got invited down there to come check it out when we were at Texas Hunters Convention. So next Saturday we will be down there checking that out. So
We'll post some more about it before Saturday.
if you're in the area, come down to Grand Prairie, Texas.
It's not in Grand Prairie, it's
Or
in Granbury.
Granbury, I'm sorry.
Barry.
Berry, I don't know.
We don't know what the hell's going on. So we're doing Blade.
All right. Directed by Stephen Norrington. And this was he really hasn't directed much. He was more a special effects guy.
What was a special effects movie, so it sort of makes sense.
Yeah, he worked with Dick Smith and Rick Baker and Stan Winston and all them guys. So
Yeah.
starting out. Written by David S. Goyer, based on Blade, the character by Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan. And he first appeared in, you know which comic book he appeared in, Carl?
I did not even know Blade was a comic book character for several years because
Either did I.
I'm not a comic book person. I'm a comic book movie person, but I knew more. I didn't know shit about Marvel until, all the Marvel movies started. I knew more about DC. So no, I do not know, but I'm just going to say Spider-Man.
Nope. The Tomb of Dracula was a comic book in the 70s.
That was a Marvel comic.
Yep.
Marvel did some weird stuff in those days.
And his character appeared in 1973.
Yeah, I had no idea that Blade was a comic book character until shit years later.
Yeah, same here. Same here. All right. It was produced by Peter Frankfurt, Wesley Snipes, and Robert Engelman. Cinematography by Theo Van de Sande. Edited by Paul Rubel. Music by Mark Isham. And probably that is the only thing I got that I don't like about this movie is the score on this. It was uh what do
Well,
you
the
call it?
beginning where they had the
The rave or
industrial,
whatever going on.
yeah,
Yeah.
the rave going on. I thought that, to me, I always think of that when I think of Blade, really. So I guess you're probably right.
Yeah. So yeah. Not a big fan of the music. Well, the music was sort of like that throughout the whole thing, you know.
Yeah, it was. I guess that's why I think of that. I don't know.
Production companies: New Line Cinema, Marvel Enterprises, Amen Ra Films. I think that's Wesley Snipes' production company, and Imaginary Forces. And it was distributed by New Line Cinema. Released on August 21st, 1998. Has a running time of 120 minutes. Country of origin, United States, English language. Budget was 45 million, and it brought in 131.2 million at the box office.
Enough to make two sequels.
Yeah. Sort of curious to see what the sequels made, but probably not as much.
No.
All right, Carl, let's go over the plot here.
Well, instead of going by, I'm gonna kind of change it up. I'll just sort of talk about what Blade is and how he became. So, his mother was pregnant and bitten by a vampire. So he was born with he was not born a vampire. He was born what we call a daywalker, where he has all the powers of a vampire, but none of their weaknesses. The only weakness is he still has to feed. So his buddy named Whistler makes all these special weapons for him, and he goes to war with the vampires because he's mad because they killed his mother. So the beginning of the movie, they're at a rave, like we mentioned, with all the music playing, and there's vampires everywhere, and Blade shows up and he goes on a killing spree. He's cutting vampires' heads off, he's blowing them up. Just absolute madness. It's really cool because he uses like bullets with silver nitrate and garlic infused
Yeah.
and like some ultraviolet uh different things. So that's where Blade and Underworld sort of merge a little bit. They kind of both have them same they go to war with each other using the actual weaknesses of the vampire or werewolf in Underworld. And he also has a sword that he loves to cut heads off with. And
Yeah.
he's got a few grenades. So this is the pretty much the premise of Blade is he's the day walker and he's at war with the
Daywalker.
vampires. And there's a lady that's actually like a blood pathologist who gets bit, and Blade decides he's going to save her. So takes her to their little hideout and they treat her and sort of cure her of the not really cure her, but she's
Keep her
not a
from,
vamp.
yeah, keep her
Keep
from
her from
turning.
turning. And she starts doing some experiments, and that's the pretty much an overview of Blade without giving anything away. The Daywalker is a cool concept I've always liked, and I think I told you whenever um I was starting to make the Count Karabi character a little more fleshed, which originally was a D&D character. Blade became kind of a inspiration because the Count Karabi character is not really a full vampire. He's also a half vampire who hates vampires. So I took a lot of inspiration from the Blade character with the Count Karabi character. So that's my overview of Blade. If you
All
got
right.
anything to add, feel free. I just didn't want to give it. There's so much going on in this movie. You can't really give a play by play. It's pretty
E-
much
e-
action nonstop.
Exactly, exactly. Let's go over the cast then. First off, we got Wesley Snipes as Eric Brooks slash Blade. He's the what you just talked about, the Daywalker. I guess
All right.
Daywalkers are called Dampiers.
Vampire is what you traditionally a daywalker or a half vampire actually is called, but they don't really call him that in the movie. But Blade's a little different. He's sort of, he was born different. So
Yeah.
I don't really consider him a Dampier myself. He's sort of his own unique character.
All right. Next, we got stephendorff as Deacon Frost. He's like the villain of this.
In a world where
Movie.
all the vampires are bad, he's the worst.
Yeah. Next off, we got Kriskristofferson as Abraham Whistler, Blade's mentor, father figure, and weaponsmith.
He's the weaponsmith. I remember my friend Bud said, "Dude, there's this movie coming out, and you're gonna love it because this guy says I make the weapons, and the vampire guy says, and I use them." So that was my first remembrance of Chris Christopherson being Whistler. He
And he
makes the
does such a
weapons.
great job as it too.
He does.
All right, next we got Boucher Wright as Dr. Karen Jensen, and she's actually a hematologist, so she's
Well, I
looking.
call that a blood pathologist, so I don't think there's much difference in those.
Next we got Donald Logue as Quinn, and he's like Frost's main minion, I guess you would say. And he can survive shit most other vampires can't. Like he can get
Yeah, he's had all
burned up
kinds of
pretty
stuff
bad.
happen to him.
Yeah, he did a good character as that too. So
Sort of the almost humorous. If there was any humor in this movie, he would be it.
next we got Udo Kier as Gitano Dragonetti. He plays a vampire elder. And he was also a vampire in one of your favorite vampire movies, Carl.
Yep.
He did it. He played another vampire in something else. I forget what it was. So
We
he's
won't
actually
talk
played.
about that other movie. Mm-mm.
Next up, we got Arlie Jover as Mercury. She's like another one of Frost minions and lovers or whatever. Next up, we got Tracy Lords as Raquel, seductive vampire who led the guy at the beginning of the movie into the blood rave.
Blood Rave, that's what that was called.
And she was looking good in that too. Kevin Patrick Walls as Officer Krieger. He played the vampire's familiar, I guess is what you'd call it, wouldn't you?
There's different names for that. A lot of times they're called ghouls, sometimes they're called vampire spawn. It all serves the same purpose.
Next up, we got 10 Guinea as Dr. Curtis Webb. That was Karen's ex-boyfriend. He got ate up, and it was weird though because he sort of like turned into. He didn't really turn into a vampire. He turned like into a zombie like sort of thing. Really, sort of sort of different. Santa Lathan is Vanessa Brooks, Blade's mother, who has become a vampire.
Even though he thought she was dead. I guess she was dead because vampires are technically dead.
And last but not least, we got Eric Edwards as Pearl, a morbidly obese vampire.
Yeah, I didn't care for that part.
I thought it was comedic, really.
I guess it was comic booky since I didn't even know this was a comic book until years later, but it makes more sense now than it did when I first saw the movie.
Somebody had made a prop sort of similar to that was at Trans World long time ago, and where it took up the whole bed and it burped and farted and shit like that. It was fucking
Yeah. Seemed
crazy.
like it was a rip off of Jabba the Hutt to me almost.
A little bit, yeah, maybe. And that is the cast for Blade. Uh, you got any info on the production at all?
Not really.
Well, I guess we'll go straight into the. Oh, let's do awards. It
Okay,
was
let's do
nominated
awards.
and won a bunch of awards, so we'll go over them. Uh, won best horror film at the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror for the Saturn Award. And it was also nominated for best makeup for Greg Cannon and Michael Germain for the Saturn Award. Blockbuster won the Blockbuster Entertainment Award. Wesley Snipes for best actor in a horror film. Favorite villain, it was won by stephendorff and nominated for best supporting actor kriskristofferson for the horror category. Let's see. Won best villain, stephendorff for the MTV Movie Awards. And Wesley Snipes was nominated for best fight scene when he was fighting all the vampires.
Yeah, that was a good fight scene.
I don't know why he didn't win it. I forget what won against it. Let's see here. Fangoria is nominated for best actor. Won best supporting actor for Udo Kier. And nominated for best makeup creature effects, Greg Cannon. And that's all the awards for Blade. What do you want to do next? Trivia? You got anything to go over about the DVD or anything, or the Blu-ray or
I don't
anything?
got all I got is the cheap New Line Cinema, which they love releasing. That's got all three movies in it, and there's
That's the way
nothing really.
mine's just the plain Jane DVD. There's nothing special to it. There ain't even an insert inside of it. So
Yeah. Like I said, I really thought I had bought that damn 4K, but apparently I did not. I had bought the on Vudu So
Gotcha.
there's nothing to. I don't have any way of reviewing it because the 3-pack's not very good.
Is it 3 separate discs or is it all on one disc? One disc.
The vampire went off again.
All right, I guess we'll jump into trivia here.
Yeah, I no report on the 4K because I cannot find it or I don't own it. I go buy it next chance I get.
All right.
So I feel unprepared here, but I mean the 3-pack of the movies is just plain Jane. So luckily Apple actually had some of the behind the scenes or special features, but they were all real boring.
Really?
They were nothing
Who
to
was
add
it?
to
The
the movie.
director or
No.
oh
So New Line did a terrible job as they usually do with their releases. So
yeah, a
we're
lot
gonna
of their
give
stuff.
the DVD, Blu-ray, an incomplete. It gets no rating.
I wonder if the 4K's got anything with it.
I don't know. I need to look into that because I swear to freaking God that I bought that damn thing. I could have swore it was sitting with Underworld. I looked everywhere. That thing is not in this house. So
Hmm.
I think old Count Orlok back here must have ate it. He must be haunted. He keeps going off for no reason and throwing me off. That's why every time I get weird, I'm like, why is that thing talking? It's supposed to be motion censored. Do you think the Count
Well,
Orlok
maybe
is
it's that damn
haunted?
haunted ass thing you fucking brought home. Fuck.
What, this guy?
Yeah, what the
Yeah,
fuck,
Lisa said
dude.
that Chatterbox was going off for no reason yesterday too when nobody was here.
Yeah. I think you need to get the fuck rid of that thing. Jesus.
No. I'm gonna bring him out in the haunted house when you're working out there and hang him
Oh
up.
no, no.
You'll get the negative energy off
There
of
will
him.
definitely be blood then.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang him up. So when you work, you're not gonna even know where I've got him.
I'm gonna hide him from me, huh?
So I think he's making the count go off behind me. I don't know what that guy's name is. I've been calling him Count Orlok with lack of better name.
All right. When David S. Goyer first pitched the idea of doing the Blade movie, the executives of New Line felt that there were only 3 actors who could possibly do the role: Wesley Snipes, Denzel Washington, and Lawrence Fishburne.
Disagree with all of them. Wesley Snipes is made for the role, and if any of the other two had been in it, it would not have been as good.
Well, that's exactly what Goyer said. So
Yeah.
there you go.
And Wesley Snipes has a background with like some martial arts and stuff too. So
All right. Uh Goyer explained in the commentary on the DVD that the scene where Karen touches Blade's sword was originally longer, as she went on to discover a weird hybrid infant of some kind floating in a tank. It came with a jump scare, and Goyer says, I think it would have scared the living shit out of the audience, but New Line felt it was too horrible. So there might have been a dead baby floating in a tank.
I think it was.
Was it?
I think so.
All right. Kriskristofferson's character Whistler was created for Blade's cameo on Spider-Man the Animated Series in 1994. He was
Ah,
like
so Spider-Man was involved. I wasn't too far off.
he was liked so much by Marvel CO that he was adopted into the Marvel universe.
No, really. So he was not originally in the Marvel universe.
No,
Okay, well, that makes sense why he was in the Dracula comic book then.
yep.
I don't know. I don't keep up with comic books, just the superhero movies.
Wesley Snipes was interested in doing a movie adaptation of the Black Panther comics when he was offered this project. He said that he was unfamiliar with Blade's comics, seeing more of a connection with the black exploitation heroes of the 70s. I just approached him as a really cool character where I'd get to do martial arts and wear a leather suit.
And he did.
Yep. A deleted conversation from the script explained how Blade's sword originally belonged to Whistler, who himself was part of a long line of vampire hunters. Quinn originally had a much smaller role, but Donald Logue was so funny on set that his character expanded and he was allowed to ad lib a good portion of his dialogue.
Yep.
I've always liked that guy. He always does a good job in everything he does. So,
True, true.
at around an hour and 45 minutes, while discussing the character of Deacon Frost, Wesley Snipes described him as the kind of guy who'd ice skate uphill. Stephen Norrington and David S. Goyer loved the phrase so much they worked it into the film. At around 28 minutes, when Karen first meets Whistler, Blade can be seen holding a map of New Orleans. This is not only implies the city they're in, but it is homage to the comic books. Many stories in the Blade series occur in New Orleans.
They didn't look like they were in New Orleans to me.
Didn't to me either. It looked more like they were like in Los Angeles,
That's what I thought.
which
It
they
was always,
were.
yeah.
Yeah. Karen was originally going to be played by a white actress, but Wesley Snipes encouraged them to cast a black actress.
Yeah, good for him. I think it fit the character better.
Yep. Jet Li was offered the part of Deacon Frost, but opted to do Lethal Weapon 4 instead.
Thank God. The cast was great in this movie.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody was fit the role perfect, especially
Yeah.
Kris Kristofferson, like you mentioned
Mhm.
earlier.
Stan Lee originally had a cameo that was ultimately cut from film. He played one of the cops that came into the Blood Club during the aftermath and discovered Quinn's body on fire.
Well, that's disappointing. They should have kept that in there.
Yeah, no shit.
Very disappointed in that. Did not know that either.
Scene where Karen and Deacon are talking about the cure for vampirism initially ran a bit longer and answered the question of how vampires would feed if everybody was turned into a vampire. They would keep some humans alive in giant blood bags to harvest them. The bags can still be seen in a doorway during the scene and later played an integral part in the plot in Blade Trinity from
I was
2004.
gonna say, I thought that was in a Blade movie, so yeah.
It was also the underlying plot structure for the movie Daybreakers in 2009.
That's a terrible movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
In the scene where Blade is chased into the subway and the subway train is passing by, all the passengers are cardboard cutouts with the special effects man among them. What was he holding them all up against the fucking windows?
No idea.
I guess you can't really tell when the train's going by. So, and plus there ain't no subway in New Orleans.
No, there's not.
If there was a subway in New Orleans, it would be flooded.
I think that was just a, like you said, for like a nod to the comics that a
Yeah,
lot of the stories, because when you have vampire stories, New Orleans always is going to be a good key, because place is haunted probably. I wonder if this thing came from New Orleans.
I don't know,
You
man.
don't like this thing, do
I
you?
don't. I don't.
Why?
I don't
You
like
feel
it
the
at
energy
all.
over the
Put it
internet
away.
here.
Put it the fuck away.
It's put away.
In the original Marvel Comics storyline, the character Blade was English, not American. The success of this film, especially since it followed in the derided Batman and Robin 1997, is often considered the beginning of the rise of the superhero genre to become dominant in mainstream film.
Yeah, there's a
Like,
lot of people.
like you said, because they call this an action movie more or less, and I always considered it a horror movie.
Yeah, I do too.
I was
So,
talking to my daughter yesterday. She's like, Blade's not even a horror movie. And I'm like,
yeah,
all
it
right,
is.
whatever.
It is a horror movie. It's got vampires and people getting their heads cut off, and
Yep. So yeah,
yeah, it's a
definitely.
vampire movie. Maybe we'll just call it a vampire movie, but it's definitely in the horror genre. So anybody that didn't think it is, they must be a reader of Marvel comics. Which, like I said, I don't even think a Blade is a comic book character. And if he were to ever show up in a comic book movie, I would be like, why is Blade in this? I'm not giving any spoilers away. I'm just saying, like, why is Blade in this? So, yeah.
Blade's car is a 1968 Dodge Charger with various modifications.
Yeah, he's got a badass car.
Deacon Frost is reimagined as more Generation X type of character. His comic book counterpart was an older German accented white haired gentleman that hailed from 1868.
The
Blade
comic book
himself
sounds boring.
Blade himself is also younger, having been born in 1967 instead of 1929 as in the comic book.
Yeah.
Pearl was so large. Come on, Carl. How large was she?
Larger than Jabba the Hutt. That was a she?
Yeah. Pearl.
I never knew that.
Well, you know now.
Well, I wish
The
I
set
hadn't.
had to be built around it.
That was that was the worst part of the movie.
It was
When
about
I was
700 pounds of latex skin that had to be moved with a forklift. Oh, I bet that would have been fun.
when I was watching that yesterday, I'm like, I forgot all about this dumb part.
Michael Morbius was to be used as the main antagonist in Blade 2, 2002, but the idea was dropped when Marvel sold the character's rights to Artisan Entertainment to produce a standalone Morbius film. The vampire on the rooftop in the alternate ending is Morbius, played by director Stephen Norrington. Morbius eventually made his live action debut in the film Morbius 2022, played by Jared Leto.
Yeah, Jared Leto's Morbius.
Okay.
I don't think he would like the movie.
I probably wouldn't.
It's more comic booky than it really isn't a horror movie, so
In updating the vampire lore, Stephen Norrington and David S. Goyer decided that crosses wouldn't work against vampires, citing, "What if a vampire was Jewish? Why would a cross work on him?"
I agree. I always thought that, and yeah, agree with them.
So it was just silver and garlic and light in this
Well,
one.
a lot of people have made it to where any holy symbol that you believe in would work on a vampire, so I don't know. So probably
Uh,
the Star of David might work on one. I don't know. They've tried to change the lore around over the years. Blade did a good job. I don't think it should be that. So
Stephen
garlic,
Norrington, Stephen
garlic
Norrington,
always.
garlic, yeah, garlic always. Stephen Norrington stated that the cause of Pearl's obese size was the creature gaining a cannibalistic lust for infants and children as he loves to eat their hearts.
Well, that was never implied in the movie, so
Well, that was probably a made up thing anyway. I don't think that was in the comic book even.
I don't know. This Pearl's gonna give this movie about a minus a half a star just on
I know,
that.
right? Let's see. Wesley Snipes was a big fan of the Hong Kong martial arts films and wanted the film to have that kind of action, which it did.
It did.
A lot of crazy moves and stuff. So the high jumping and flipperoonies and
Sort of like the Dracula meets the Seven Brothers Hammer film.
oh, okay.
It's the Kung Fu Dracula without Christopher Lee.
Oh. A great many handheld shots were accomplished with a special anamorphic lens camera that also had a single unit sound. It's only one of its kind in the world. Wow, that's sort of neat.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see here. Stephen Dorff wasn't a fan of commercial movies, in particular comic book movies, but Stephen Norrington convinced him to take the role of Deacon Frost. And I really don't think anybody else could have played that part like he did. He did a really
No,
good
he did
job.
great.
Blade's sunglasses are black flies. The model is called Microfly in matte black. David Goyer and director Stephen Norrington wanted to make it clear from the opening scenes that this wasn't going to be a particularly gothic vampire tale.
No, it is not. It's very modern. Well, modern for the 90s, I guess.
Yep. Let's see here. What else we got? Blade, let's see. The British dance group The Prodigy were approached to do the score and soundtrack for the film, but they turned it down due to other work commitments. You like Prodigy? The
No,
Prodigy? Me neither.
don't dislike them. I don't like them, or
They're-
they're just, I don't have an opinion,
I'm
I
just
should
not a
say.
big fan of like the techno music at all. Anyway,
Yeah. I
so
don't mind it. I shouldn't say I'm not a fan, or I don't hate them. I just sort of neutral.
in the film, Whistler can read the ancient vampire language. We see this when he translates the piece of paper taken by Blade from the archive room. However, in the script, Whistler cannot understand the language, and Blade goes to a voodoo priestess to get a translation. How would a priestess know the voodoo or the
Because voodoo people
vampire?
know a lot of stuff.
Okay.
It's believable.
Stephen Norrington wanted Kriskristofferson for the role as he was the cool grandfather, grungy type, fighting, jolly type guy. David Geyer actually wrote the character, though, with Samuel Fuller in mind. Whoever that is.
I don't even know who the hell that is.
Stephendorff molded Frost on several other villains, especially Jack Nicholson's The Joker and Batman. I can see that.
Maybe, I don't know.
It was Wesley Snipes' idea that the entrance to Pearl's lair, back to Pearl, be through a walk-in freezer. Let's see. Although she's credited as Mercury, Arlie Jover never is called by her name throughout the whole movie. And I don't even think she spoke during the whole thing. Actually. So, oh well. All the rest of the stuff we sort of already gone over, so that's all I got. So, how are you gonna rate
I'm
Blade,
gonna let you
Carl?
go first. I
Well,
always go first. You go first this time.
when this first came out, I forget where I seen it. I think it was on. I didn't see it right when it first came out, uh, but I had all the free pay channels because I did cable, and I think it was on HBO or something when I first seen it. And the opening scene for the rave, when they do the rave scene, I was like, wow, that's like one of the most bloody fucking things that's ever been on film before. There was a lot of blood.
But it's not a horror movie, they claim.
Yeah. and,
Bullshit.
and just people getting their throats ripped out and shit. And yeah, just, and when Blade comes in, just all the violence, and that made the fucking movie for me. Just that second scene. So
Yeah, it was a definitely got the movie vibe going.
yeah, the rest of the movie is okay. There's some lulls and some stupid shit, but like you said, the Pearl. I think that was put in more or less for the comedic, maybe a little bit of shock aspect because she was so morbidly obese. Just like I don't know. But, and like I said, the soundtrack, not a big fan of it, the score. So I'll give it a 4 just for the effects and all that. And the acting quality for sure was good. So yeah,
Well,
I'll give it a 4.
I will concur. I give it a 4 as well. I thought about giving it a 3.9, but I can't do that to Blade because great movie. Always, like I said, it was an influence in creating some of my Halloween haunted house characters. Um, watching it now, it seems a little freaking long. I think they could have cut some of that crap out and it would have been a better movie. Definitely a long 2 hours, but the acting is good. Wesley Snipes owned the role, and he is the one and only Blade. I don't care what anybody says or whatever happens in the future. In the future, apparently Marvel is going to reboot Blade, so we will see how that happens, or if
Yeah.
it happens, because Marvel keeps canceling movies. So I don't know.
Yeah. Supposedly Mia Goth's gonna be in it. So
Well, we'll see if it happens. It's been delayed like 4 or 5 times. Um, there's not really much I can complain about Blade. Like I said, I thought that Pearl was stupid and did not fit the movie. They could have cut that out. It might have sped the movie up enough to where, like you said, there's a few lulls. It's a lot of action, but when there's not action, it's very obvious. Love the like the weapons. You know, Underworld would come out a couple years later, and obviously they were influenced by Blade, I guess, because here's some trivia for you. There was talk of doing a Blade Underworld mesh at one point,
that would have been
but
cool.
I don't know if when Wesley Snipes got in trouble with his tax stuff, if that might have put a snafu in that or what, but it never happened. But those worlds seem very connected, so it would have been cool.
Yes, it would have.
So definitely a 4. I can't give it any higher. I definitely recommend Blade. If you haven't seen it, it's really good vampire movie. It's different. It's not your typical, like you said, it's not a gothic vampire movie. It's very 90s. Even though it's near the end of the 90s, it's still got that 90s influence, which is fine. It fit really good. The soundtrack, yeah, you're right. It was not so great, but it didn't bother me. I kind of like the that techno shit. It fit the especially the beginning scene. So I really have no complaints except for you, like you said, a few little slow moments, and it's a little long. And I think I'm going to seek out this 4K copy now, and I will probably find the other one. So we'll see what happens. I think I just bought it on Vudu when it came out because that sounds like something I might have done. But I could have swore I had Blade and Underworld sitting right together, right underneath the TV. But I think this thing stole Blade, Brett.
Put it away. Put that thing away. I
Well,
don't even
that's
want
all
to
we
look
got.
at it. I don't even want to look at it.
We gotta get
God
moving
damn,
here.
dude. All right. Check
We're
us
done.
out. Come down to the Spooky Spectacle, Granbury,
Spectacular.
Texas. Granbury, Texas.
Scarlett was calling it the Spook House Spectacular.
Next Saturday, the 21st I think it's the 21st. Yeah. So come down and see us down there. Check us out on all the social medias.
Yeah, check all the haunted house stuff up. We're actively publishing things now for that on the Count Karabi Facebook page.
Exactly. So
Maybe one of these days we'll get the hunt finished. I don't know. There's not that much to do, so I'm not too worried. You think there's a lot more to do than there is. You want to paint everything. There ain't gonna be a lot of painting, I don't think.
we'll paint what we can get. Well, we only got one painter and she's 8,
Yeah.
9. So all right. Thanks everybody for watching. Hit that like and subscribe if you would, and turn on those notifications. And we'll talk to you Wednesday for the midweek show. Stay evil, everybody.
This is evil right here.
Vampires. They're everywhere.
You're one of them, aren't you?
No. I'm something else.
That's him!
Blade is the key. All our strengths. None of our weaknesses.
There are worse things out tonight than vampires.
Like what?
Like me. He makes the weapons. I use them. It's open season on all suckheads.
Let's do this.